So on today's video, we're going to be making a cute little pickle like this. When I make my pickles to sell, I make them in a darker green color like this, but because of the video to showcase for you guys, I always use a lighter or brighter color. But this is normally the color I use. It's like an olive green color. And then the supplies we'll need is our yarn, of course. So I love this yarn, and it is in the limelight color. This is a Hobby Lobby brand. And then a pair of scissors, a size I 5.25 crochet hook is what I'm going to be using today, a darning needle, and then we will need some safety eyes for his eyes, okay? For his mouth, I use embroidery floss, and then if you wanted to add in some cheeks, you can as well, and use embroidery floss for that also, okay? So gather your supplies, and we'll get started working on our emotional support pickle. Okay guys, so most amigurumi and stuffies, they will require in the patterns to begin your project with the magic ring or magic circle, and I try to avoid that as much as possible. I did do them in the beginning, but then I found this little tip and trick that I'm going to show you guys. The magic ring can come undone, so if you're making a blanket and your magic ring started here in the center and your blanket is way out here, say, it's going to be a nightmare if that ring comes undone there, unraveled like it can do, to try to get that all stitched back up and closed back up, okay? So I, like I said, try to avoid that at all possible costs. So what I do is I make a slip knot and get that on your hook. And then I just chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then back into this first chain here we are just going to slip stitch. So insert your hook, pull that yarn, and pull that yarn through the next loop also. So I'll take out my work here and kind of show you what we just did. We basically created our own magic ring, okay? So right there in the center is what I call the little donut. That's the magic ring that we just created there. So that's what we're going to be working into. If you're comfortable and want to do the magic ring, feel free, okay? But this is just always the way I do it. So then we chain . So once working into this ring here, we are going to be making 6 single crochet into this ring, okay? So insert your hook, pull up that yarn. You should have 2 on your hook, and go right through those 2. Okay, single crochet again. That was 2. 3, 4, 5, and then 6, our last one, 6. Okay, so now we want to go into that first stitch that we made, and just make a slip stitch, okay? So pull out that yarn and go through. Chain 1, okay? So now we just need to make our pickle a little wider. So what we're going to do is go back into these 6 chains that we just made, but we are going to be making 2 single crochet in each one to make up 12 now, okay? So go into your first stitch there and do 1 single crochet. Go into that same stitch and make 2 single crochet. Go into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. Go into that same stitch and put your second single crochet. So we want a total of 12 for this round. You can work on that, and then we will be back at the end. So I'm coming up towards my end here. I just have 1 more to do. So 11, and 12. And then go into that first one that we did and just slip stitch it and chain 1. So now you should have a total of 12 going around your circle. So here I brought out a stitch marker. If you're a newbie, this might help you, okay, just to keep track of where you're starting and ending your rows, okay? So I just slipped my stitch marker into that space where we put the chain 1. And now we can continue on, okay? So we're going to be increasing still. This one's going to be a little different though. So into that first chain, you are going to be making 1 slip stitch, or I'm sorry, 1 single crochet. And then into the next chain, you're going to be doing 2 single crochet. So 1 and 2. And then into the next one, you're going to do 1 single crochet. And just keep doing that around in the pattern of 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet until we get to the end, and we'll meet back, okay? Okay, so I'm coming up on the end of mine here, and I got this last stitch to do, so 1 and 2 into that same one. Take off my stitch marker and then just slip stitch into that space where we had our stitch marker again. Maybe he's not wanting to pull through. And then chain 1 and put your stitch marker back in. So I'm going to show you here. As you can see, the pickle should start to be curving up now. So we got our base of our pickle, basically the bottom of it. And we are just going to continue to increase on this next one also. So the pattern for this one that we're going to be doing is 1 single crochet into that first stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet into that next stitch. So like I said, the pattern will be 1 single crochet into the next one, 1 single crochet, and then into the following one, 2 single crochet. Just keep doing that around now until we meet up with the end of our row here, okay? So I have my last increase here. So single crochet once, and then in the same spot, put another single crochet. So just a tip, when you are doing your increase rows, the last stitch you're always going to be wanting to do the increase, okay? So the last one should always have, for instance, 2. If you ended with 1, something went wrong and you don't have enough stitches going on. You lost a stitch somewhere, okay? So now we're going to take out this stitch marker and we can put him aside. We're done working with him for this project. And I'm going to show you how to do one of the warts on the pickle, okay? So you yarn over, you go into that next stitch there. You should have 3 on your hook. Yarn over and go through the first 2. And then you're going to yarn over and go back into that stitch. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 again. You should have 3. Yarn over and go to that same stitch again. Pull through, and then yarn over and pull through the first 2. And you should have 4 loops on your hook now, okay? So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So yarn over and pull through all 4 at the same time of those loops that are on your hook, okay? So there we have that. And then we're just going to go into our next chain and single crochet. and just keep single crocheting around now. So let me pull out my hook here, and you can see that is where we put our first wart for our pickle, okay? So you'll see it'll bubble out like that, okay? So now to finish making the height of our pickle, what we're going to do is just keep single crocheting around all these chains over and over again until it starts growing. And you are going to just place warts randomly wherever you feel the need to, okay? So on my total pickle, I probably put about usually between 8 and 10 warts, okay? And then you can grow it as long as you want also, but I normally do 22 rows now. Okay, so that's usually typically what I do for mine. But again, you can kind of alter this pattern, which is kind of nice. You guys have a little bit more control with it, you guys. So if you want to do a bunch of these and make some shorter or longer or more warts, less warts, feel free to do it however you want now. And then once we get it to the height that we like, we will meet back here, okay? Okay, so I was working on mine. I think I have the length of what I would like for my pickle here. So I do not have it stuffed yet. We're going to do that in just a minute here. But I kept kind of one part towards more so of the top where I'm going to place his eyes, and then later on I will do a little mouth on him. So I'm going to be using safety eyes for his eyes here. That's what I used in my sample one here that I have for you guys, the 2 safety eyes, and then I just embroidered with red embroidery floss for his mouth, okay? If you wanted to add like pink little cheeks with embroidery floss, you can too, it's up to you. But I just do the eyes, the safety eyes, and then his embroidered mouth. So you're just going to insert your eyeball in between one of the stitches there. I just chose there, so we're a few rows under from where we're going to start decreasing. And like I said, I left that without any warts just because I knew I was going to line up his face there. And then put the safety back on. If it's a true toy that I think babies are going to play with, I sometimes hot glue the back of the safety eye onto there also, just to keep it a little extra secure if it's for more of a baby project, okay? And then I usually go about 4 or 5 stitches in between for the next eye. So that's what he's going to look like there. And put the safety part on the back of their eye. And then we're going to stuff. So this is another little trick that I'm going to show you, little tip that I learned that I wish, again, I knew earlier on. So I do have some stuffing here, but I also have a bag of scraps here from previous projects that I have done. I just keep my scraps in a little Ziploc bag like this, or you can keep them in a jar or whatever. And I always try not to waste as much as possible. So, I mean, all projects in here, I've got all sorts of different styles of yarns, lengths of yarns, colors, and I save it for projects like this, okay? So, the stitches are pretty tight in here. You're not going to notice, but I do use it to stuff my projects a little bit with. So I just use regular stuffing and stuff him down in there first, because sometimes the beginning stitches are a little looser in your project than, say, once you start going and get a little rhythm going, okay? And then I just take some of these strings here from our old projects and stuff those in also. Maybe a little more stuffing. And I just keep going back and forth like that, okay? That way you're using every single piece that you use of your yarn, okay? I know some people are a complete minimalist, so you might not want to keep a bag of scraps like this, and you don't mind using all of your stuffing, but this is just a little trick I found. I'm always looking for tips and tricks also, so if you guys ever have any, feel free to always leave them in the comments. I love to hear new things people have thought of and found. Okay, so finish up your stuffing and we will meet back again. So just keep doing your decreases until you have about 6 stitches left, and then I will show you what we do at that point, okay? So instead of having that single crochet in between our decreases, we are only going to be doing our decreases now, okay? So hook in, and then skip to the next chain and hook in, and then pull those through. And then instead of doing that single crochet like I said, you're just going to go straight into that next one, okay? And do the same decrease. We're going to do this until we came around with this. And it's going to start getting a little snug because we are closing the top of him here, okay? Okay. So I'm going to take my hook out like I just did. We have a little hole here yet, okay? And I do pack a little extra stuffing more towards the middle just so I can, you know, ease some of the stuffing up towards where we just sealed him up now, okay? So we're going to make a little tail here in our yarn, so just snip some of that off but leave enough to work with, and we are going to pull that guy through to secure that. And then I just grab my yarning needle here and put him onto the needle, and then we are just going to go around these stitches now. Whoops, make sure you grab both loops. And I just go back and forth to close him up and make sure he's all secure, okay? Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then what I do now, just to hide this strand of yarn and make sure that he stays nice and buried inside of him, is I will take it and just poke him on through all different areas like this, okay? Just back and forth. I do this about 3-4 times will be enough to keep him secure in there. He's going to get trapped in all that stuffing and everything that we put in the center of him. So that's pretty good for that. And cut that yarn off. Whoops. And get rid of that yarn. And then I do the same thing on the bottom. Just send him on through. The bottom, I guess, kind of is the top. That's where we started, but I call him the bottom now. Okay, so I think that's good for that one. And then we will just take our needle off there, snip that. And all you have to do now is just embroider his little mouth on. Like I said, I use embroidery floss for him. If you don't have embroidery floss, you can always use just like a pink or red yarn, just do a couple stitches back and forth, a V-stitch like that, and you're all done, okay?